talk this.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your flip my hair back and win game of the year host, Madelyn.
I'm your hear from us again in 5 years' time, host Emma.
And thanks for tuning into this week's show. It's Emma's side quest. Every side quest now, I have to say. It's unbelievable. Wasn't it just Emma's side quest? It's Emma's side quest. What are we talking about this week?
This week, I wanted to pick a little bit, I guess, of a lighter topic. We've talked about trailers on the show before. I don't remember if it was its own unique one or like a marketing one in general, but we have talked about trailers on the show before. But I wanted to talk about specifically like the cinematic trailers that get made with like bespoke animation created for the purposes of the trailer, right? Hades 1.0, Hades 2 1.0 got announced at the most recent Nintendo Direct, and as has become tradition for those trailers, it had a very bespoke 2D animated portion to show off the characters and plot and stuff. AAA games have also been doing this forever to increasing annoyance from player bases. But I just want to talk about, what actually goes into sort of making these trailers. Why do they make them? Are they a good idea? So on and so forth.
Can you think of any other medium that has bespoke trailers like this? I was just thinking about that as you were saying it. Because, of course, the gamers have a unique distrust of the people who make games.
Yeah. I think Marvel has gotten into hot water before sometimes for having, like, fake stuff in their trailers. That's
Sure.
mostly for spoiler hiding reasons.
Yeah. Which is itself.
I do think some books
world we
have
live in.
trailers which inherently would be, like bespoke art for the purposes of showcasing a book.
Sure. There might be a famous phrase about this, actually, now that I think about it.
Oh, really? Yeah. Tell us.
Have you ever heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover?
It's a rarely used phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah, book covers are kind of this, in a way, in a weird way.
I guess, but like, you're right. Yeah, the book cover should be like a collection of highlight quotes from the book out of context.
It should just be the author's like dumb little sketches of their characters that they've made, regardless of the author's talent in art.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, it's just like that used games place at PAX that I feel like one year had all of these hand-drawn bespoke covers, and now you have to dig around to find them.
Yeah, exactly.
PAX is worse for that reason and that reason alone.
Yeah, those are the only two, like, examples I can think of, at least.
Yeah. Cinematic trailers really get a lot of hate. Except that they don't. It's weird, right? Like, they hype people up.
Yeah.
But then also if you talk about it, you're like, I want gameplay.
There is sort of, there's this is combined with, like, the general trend of games take forever to come out now, right? Yeah. So I do think that, especially in the AAA space, when you see a cinematic trailer that either just has a year on it or has no date attached, you're like, oh, okay. Like I said at the beginning, I'll hear from you 5 years from now, I guess. Yeah. When you have actually made some of the game.
Well, but that's one thing, and that's a reasonable thing. But when I was doing my usual Reddit perusal in preparing for this show, I mean, obviously, also on the other hand, there's people that are like, well, I just want to see you press buttons.
Right.
Which does not resonate. I have to say, for me, it does not resonate. If I'm interested in a game, I will look it up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, that's my opinion. I would rather your trailer get me hyped. It's a marketing device. That's what it's for. Than me see the menus.
Yeah, I thought you had like
Actually, we should make a law that all game trailers have to show you what the menu UI looks like.
You know what?
Absolutely
Maybe,
destroyed
actually.
Clair Obscur.
I know. No, they were in a state of play where I feel like they showed off some of the menu UI, and I remember looking at it and going, oh no.
Maybe you should have kept that hidden.
There's something here that they didn't work on as much as the rest of it. But yeah, putting that aside, one of the Reddit threads you posted in our document and commented on, and you put this comment in there, is like some games like are hard to show in a trailer in gameplay wise. And we've had this experience with like some games are hard to demo at PAX too.
I think it's the same.
It's the same type of game, yeah. Where you have like the civilizations, for example, where you might have like this like epic cinematic thing meant to like tell you how you're gonna feel playing Civilization, right? Like being like a great world empire or whatever.
Sorry, actually how you're gonna feel playing Civilization is chained to your computer. Like, yeah, just exactly. To be clear.
Yeah.
Like, you might feel like a great world emperor for 5 minutes, and after that you're gonna feel like the computer is my lord and master.
Yeah, but setting that aside.
Yes.
It's hard to just show like someone playing Civilization, even like edited to music or whatever, and be like, wow, that looks sick.
Especially because they've gotten rid of the army stacks.
So that's why like those types of games might have some sort of cinematic attached to it to help it stick in your mind beyond being like, oh, it's a game with a lot of menus.
It is really tricky for that. If you're not sort of a real-time combat-y thing, I don't really want to see it. It's not gonna win me over.
Yeah. It's the same reason why there might be like live action trailers for games too. Like I was mostly thinking about like the bespoke animations done. But there is also a subset of this category of game trailers that's like, we got a celebrity to like pretend to play the game.
Right.
Or like introduce the game or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or like the Nintendo live action Link is dancing trailers.
Right.
Too.
To be honest, the animation trend is cool, and more of that would be cool, although maybe not. We'll talk about maybe why it's not such a great idea in a lot of cases. But I think more corny live action stuff does sort of feel like TikTok geared and where this should be going. That's from me, expert in marketing, saying I think that you should make more corny live action game trailers. The gamers, capital G, will love that. I think when GTA 6 has a launch trailer, it should actually be like in the style of IGN Video Game Theater.
I do think they should make
IGN,
a live action trailer for GTA
Polygon.
6. They should just do whatever they want.
They don't need a trailer.
It's out.
They don't even need to say it's out.
People will just know instinctively.
They could just flip the switch on Steam, and that would be enough.
That's true.
Someone is checking every second of every day, I'm sure.
That's true.
Okay, well, do you want to talk about these animated ones?
Sure.
The trend, the hot thing, literally.
Yeah, so I don't know. I did not do the historical research to determine whether this is completely true or not.
This is a very Madelyn thing for you to have done, by the way.
I know. But you may have noticed if you watch any game showcases where an indie game shows up, there's a real trend to have like an animated intro of sorts before any like gameplay is shown. Usually 2D animated intro, like showing off the stylish characters or whatever. And in my mind, this really started with I think it was the initial Hades trailer, there was a 2D introduction where Zagreus comes out of the pool of blood and flips his hair back and puts his sword on his shoulder and goes, heck yeah, hell yeah.
Actually, I don't think he does. I think he's more like, I have to do this again.
Yeah. No, he does not say hell yeah.
Honestly, that would have been sick if he did for the context of the game.
And like that's like the first like indie trailer that I remember there being where like they contracted an animation studio and had them make this animation that does not turn up anywhere in the game. It's exclusively for the trailer. Um, and as I mentioned, the Hades 2 1.0, the original announcement for Hades 2 was also animated by the same studio as the first Hades trailer. And then the Hades 2 1.0 was done by a different studio, but is also a long animated set piece showing off the concept of the game, essentially.
I don't think that she gets the same level of. I don't think there's a moment like that moment.
So I put this note on there of
I
in
know.
the 1.0 launch trailer, there's like a very close up of her like flexing her back muscles.
Sure.
And it's like that's the same sort of register as the hair flip, you know?
I know, but I don't think it's. I don't think it launched 1,000 ships. Let's just say that.
We'll see. It's out next week, I guess.
God, that's next week.
It's this Thursday, I guess.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But yeah, it suits the games, right? Because they use them to establish the concept, right? As well as like reflect their sort of design principles. Like there may not be this animation of Zagreus in the game, but he is supposed to be sexy, and that comes across in other ways in the game. It's telling you, hey man, this guy's sexy. And you will get that in the game, too.
And one thing I will say for the Hades trailers, I want to come back to the sexy part, but that I think does not always match with other games that have taken this aesthetic is, well, this animation doesn't exist in the game. The sort of 2D animated cartoon headshots of them all do. And to me, that's an interesting tie-in and a more effective tie-in sometimes than when it's just like, oh, we've done an animated trailer. It's like, well, your characters don't look like that. And that can still work. And like Emma just said, capturing that feeling of the game, particularly in ways that you might not be able to get if you were just showing straight up footage from the game in a, 1 minute spot or whatever, is what's going to make one of these things successful. But I do think the Hades one has even a nicer tie-in of, well, this isn't in the game, but this art style is in the game. Yeah. In its like limited character portrait way. So it did tie nicely to that in a way that I think some of its copycats maybe don't have that close of an art style tie-in.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, it's like so important, right? Like it's hard for me to imagine how you would take a minute or 90 seconds or whatever of like Hades gameplay, even including dialogue, and capture this game is horny tone as effectively as that like 2 seconds of animation does.
Yeah. Because the thing is with, you're right, that the way that they are animated looks like the way that they are drawn in the game as well, right? It's like not a significantly different art style. But they're just not as dynamic to look at text boxes with a static image.
Yeah.
As an animation is. Right?
Yeah.
Because then you have to read.
Well, I was thinking more voice lines, but yeah.
I mean,
I wasn't really thinking making the viewer read the sexy text. I was thinking we would hear them say it.
I mean, yes, but there would be words on the screen,
And gamers can't read.
Gamers can't read. So, gamers get scared when they see text.
A word is scary.
That's what I do. When I see text on the screen, I go, oh.
I'm scared.
I'm scared.
That's true.
But since then, it does feel like there's been a lot of indie-sized games, like approximately Hades-sized games. Whatever, if those, there are different scales of indie, obviously, that have some sort of, like, animated thing. Some of them even contract big Japanese animation studios to do it.
Did Omega Strikers go anywhere?
I don't remember it.
Has it even come out? Like,
Yeah, I think it's come. I'm sure it's come out, surely, but no, I don't remember. I don't even remember this trailer if it was in anything or whatever.
this is a sports, like a, Rocket League kind of soccer game, right? That contracted Studio Trigger, who did Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann and other stuff, to do their trailer. Which, yeah, to me, I was like, oh, that's kind of overkill. Although you pointed out that they are pretty accessible to the West.
Yes, if you're going to pick a big Japanese animation studio to make your indie game trailer, Trigger actually probably makes the most sense. Because they are recognizable, but also like very Western communicative. They have a Patreon page, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So ultimately, though, you might look at the Hades trailers, you might look at the cool trailers and go, oh, this is a good idea for my indie game. People like this. However, you also might think twice, based on various research that Emma and I did.
Yeah. Well, because it's expensive.
Yeah, it can cost like $1,000 a second. And assuming that you have a limited marketing budget, you've got to think about if that's going to get you the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
There's a guy who likes to talk about trailers a lot, Derek Liu, who makes a lot of what I would say are pretty prototypical, classic-looking trailers for people, and who in various articles and videos that we read and watched came out pretty strongly like, you probably don't want to do this. And the reason for that being, one, it's expensive. For the amount of money that you would put into making an animated trailer, like a custom, bespoke animated trailer, you could probably make 3 gameplay trailers, maybe more. And 2, it can be confusing to people, right?
Yeah.
If people have never heard of your game, you might think, oh my gosh, what a cool way to get in front of them. I'm going to get a cool trailer together that people want to share because it looks cool. However, people might look at it and go, oh, this is a new anime that's coming out. This is a new movie. It's a new show. And so it doesn't immediately say this is a game, which can be a problem. It also, if you aren't Supergiant and your graphics don't blend in with what's happening here, it was good. In one of these videos, he was like, what you really don't want to happen is to cut to gameplay in the middle of your animated cinematic and have the viewer go, ugh.
Yeah.
So if your graphics are not gonna, it might make sense to say like, oh yeah, I want this like crazy polished, beautiful looking cinematic that's gonna get people interested. But then if your graphics, understandably, are not up to snuff, are not in the same level as that, you don't want that. I even get that with the Hades one a little bit. Honestly, when they cut to gameplay, I do kind of go, ugh. But just a little.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's tiny.
He's tiny. Yeah, I thought the point that, like, it might get the viewer confused about what it is was also really interesting, because I think that's even more true now than, like, when the initial Hades trailer came out, because there's so many more, like, video game adaptations being made and being successful and being showcased at gaming showcases.
Yep.
Right? So it's not even like you can rely on the context to help the viewer understand what they're looking at, right? Because they might be expecting to see like, oh, this is a new anime, or this is a new like TV show that's being made, right?
Well, and these same companies that are making these animated cinematics are also making those games, or sorry, making those TV shows, right?
Yeah.
The studio that Powerhouse Animation, who seem to be like one of like the people to call if you want an animated trailer. The Monkey Ball ones they made, by the way, fire. No notes. But they also make the Castlevania Netflix series, which is like the successful.
Yeah.
There's like the only successful Netflix series actually that exists.
The only one? Yeah.
I mean, they've made like 5 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Which is rare in Netflix world. So they must be cheap. But it can be confusing. And you don't want that. You don't want people thinking that it's a TV show. If they haven't heard of your game, that's a risk.
Yeah.
Now, he did say in one of these videos or articles, he was like, if your game is being showcased at the Game Awards or something like that, you're right to point out that there are TV shows there too. But at least people understand that they are looking at something that is game related mostly in those situations. And so he said, okay, if you're like have the opportunity to be there, you could think about it. Because
I mean, yes. Also,
context.
if you have the opportunity to be at the Game Awards and you're a relatively small game, you should be trying to be as flashy as humanly possible.
Right.
Right. Either somebody paid a lot for that, or you got an opportunity. Right.
Yeah. But your game probably isn't that small in that case.
Yeah.
He talked also about, Devolver Digital does a lot of these for their games. But he said even for Devolver, which, has the budget, has the money to burn, right? They can throw the money at this. It's not like their marketing budget is not your solo indie games marketing budget. They have a budget line for it, which you don't. He said even they don't debut a game with a cinematic, right?
Yeah.
They show gameplay, they make sure people are interested in the game, and then often for the launch trailer, when they've already got interest, they try to build that hype with a cinematic.
Yeah.
Which made a lot of sense to me. And those are for games that people, even if they did launch them with the cinematic, might be high enough profile indie that people would know what they were looking at.
Yeah.
So if even Devolver is scared of announcing a game with that, you should be careful. You little game developer listening to me now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the AAA space, they love doing that.
Yeah.
They love announcing their game with a cinematic.
What's nothing wrong with that? Unless you're a gamer, in which case, everything wrong with it. Show me the menu.
I mean, it is something that, if you're announcing your AAA game, if you haven't, focused in and made, a vertical slice, probably, even if you're pretty far in development, might look like crap, actually. Things don't fully come together in game development usually until the end, right? I mean, the thinking of famously announced too early, Kingdom Hearts 3's first trailer, right? Theoretically, the thing that they showed in that trailer is in the game, but it looks substantially different. Either because their art wasn't finished and so they rushed to put something together to make it look good, or because they changed direction on it. Either way, right? And that's not even a cinematic thing, right? That was
from the
I can
game.
believe that they were working on the game and maybe that was in there, but it probably wasn't actually finished.
I think it's also important to distinguish, and obviously there's been a lot of conversation this week online, and I didn't finish reading that article. I read most of it, but then I was like, oh, I have to get off the train. But a lot of discussion in the game media sphere, whatever's left of it this week, of how we're talking about different sizes of game, right?
Mm-hmm.
AAA, AA, now we've got new terms, right?
Yeah, no, I sent Madelyn, there's an interesting article of someone attempting to make a new taxonomy of game sizes, used mostly on team size and file size of the game itself. And so they broke indie into two different categories, which there's some problems with their methodology, I think, but it is an interesting way to look at it because we do call a lot of things indie that are actually vastly different scales of development size and money.
Yeah. So in this animated segment we were just talking about, that's relevant in terms of you might think of games being published by Devolver and solo dev games as sort of being in the same indie sphere. They can look kind of similar sometimes, but in terms of what makes sense from a marketing budget perspective, going to be very different. I think also here on the top end of games, right, AAA encompasses a lot. I mean, it encompasses in some ways fewer and fewer games, but it encompasses a wide range of what you might be able to get away with in the cinematic trailer space.
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting to me to rewatch the Elden Ring debut trailer, which is funny, right? Of course, because like FromSoft is in many ways kind of a new player in the AAA. Like, those games being that mainstream is less is more recent in the grand scheme of things, right? But that game, that trailer sucks, but it doesn't suck. But it gives you absolutely no info about the game.
Yeah.
It's basically just here are these two names that you should be excited about and some hype. And that's really all that game needed. Both because people are kind of aware of, like, FromSoft has enough of a design ethos that you pretty much know the basics of what you're going to get, even without seeing them in a launch trailer. And also, it's George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Like, we get to drop that. So it was fascinating to watch that and go, this is not a trailer that would work for 99.9% of games.
Yeah, if you took the From Software logo off that, let's say the George R. R. Martin one off that too, but I really think it's the From Software that's doing most of the work here. And was just like, here's a game from some studio called Elden Ring.
It'd be awful.
People would be like, okay,
where's Silk
some
Song?
sort of dark fantasy game trying to copy From Software.
Huh?
Yeah, it just would not grab the attention in the same way. So
there's a level of notoriety or a level of already familiarity with, like, going back to Civ again. We talked about, this would be really hard to do a non-cinematic trailer for because it's boring to look at, right? Mm-hmm. But also, you kind of don't have to. People know what that game is, generally. And announcing a new one is exciting, and there will be changes to it, and there was plenty of discussion in the Reddit thread of, but I wanted to see what was different. But it's like, okay, if you're invested enough in the Civilization series that you wanted to know what was different, you're going to go read an article about it afterward.
Yeah.
So, we have these games that are either from a studio or in a series or whatever, where they have achieved a level of notoriety that you can get away with the basically nothing cinematic trailer, and it's hype, and the hype works. But even at the AAA level, there are games where that would not work. If you're launching something new, that's probably not enough.
I think there's even, like, it can backfire on you, too. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously there are game studios where the brand or the series means something to the person paying attention, right? But if they announce it with a cinematic trailer, they might go, that brand might actually backfire against you, right? I'm thinking about, like, I feel like this got mixed reception between people very excited and people going like, oh god, they just did a cinematic trailer of The Witcher 4's 6-minute long cinematic trailer that they did at the last Game Awards? Summer
Something
Games
like
Fest? So one of the Jeff events. Because it's coming off, like, people love Witcher, right? Obviously people are excited for the next Witcher, but also it's coming off of Cyberpunk that also announced itself with a couple of different cinematic trailers, and that was bad, And it's probably not the fault of the cinematic trailers, but I can understand how a player could get a little nervy seeing The Witcher 4 announced and not getting to see, like, any actual, like, in-game stuff, right?
Isn't that such a weird dynamic? It makes total sense. I'm just, again, going back to what other version of this can I think of anywhere else where a company gets a bad rap for announcing something too early, or it's like, they've announced something in this style, but because they announced it in this style before, I'm nervous.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, maybe George R.R. Martin, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. No, the Witcher 4 trailer is obviously also poisoned by the gamers because it now stars Ciri instead of Geralt. So, there's that too. That's muddying the waters a little bit on the reception to that trailer, I think. And CD Projekt always makes very good cinematic trailers and always like gives like behind the scenes making of stuff for it as well. Like I was looking at the Witcher 4 trailer because it was recent, and they have like a 10-minute thing on their YouTube like showing like all the work that went into it and the motion capture and whatever. I don't remember if I did write down who made the Witcher 4 trailer, but the Cyberpunk ones were from the teaser with the woman was from Platige Image, and the like official announcement trailer that showed Keanu Reeves is by Goodbye Kansas Studio. And that they are big endeavors. The Goodbye Canvas one, there was an interview with someone who worked on it, saying like about 100 people involved in the production of making that trailer, obviously including like voice actors and motion capture performers, right? But just thinking about like having to do all that work to create this trailer, and it's not necessarily taking time away from the developers, right? That's why you bring in the external studio. Right. In some ways, perhaps it is not taking time away from the developers.
No, you have a marketing team, right?
Yeah.
Those people aren't coding.
But they don't necessarily have to try to make things that the marketing team can use, right? There's a separate studio that is making things for the marketing team to use.
That's an interesting situation too, right? It's as someone who has to market theatrical events, right? I'm thinking of The Witcher 4 as being in the same category of like, I'm doing an event that has like a very recognizable star attached. Right. And I'm not producing like big Broadway runs that need to sell like hundreds of thousands of tickets. Right. Yeah. Like I'm doing like a one night event. And it's interesting to me to think about, oh, well, on one hand, CD Projekt certainly has the money to employ 100 people to make a crazy cinematic. Right. On the other hand, why would they need to? It's The Witcher 4. They could just put on the screen for 30 seconds The Witcher 4, and that would probably do the job. Like, it's interesting, especially in the cinematic sense, right? It's one thing to say, oh, I'm showing a gameplay trailer for this game, but fascinating to think about the kind of budgetary output to make something fancy for a game where, like, you know, like Grand Theft Auto, right? They don't have to do anything.
They've released trailers for Grand Theft Auto.
I know that they have, but they would not have to.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they've dodged the bad like I do feel like Grand Theft Auto is just sort of like, oh well, it'll come out when it comes out. It's a weird hype situation.
I think just because it's been so long, right? And they didn't even, I think they were leaked initially. Like, they didn't even announce it when they wanted to announce it. Again, which is a problem that has hit a lot of games. But, so yeah, there's that. It's also gonna get hit with the gamer gaze. It's got a woman.
Sort of. That doesn't matter.
They're not white.
That game is immune to anything.
I mean, sales-wise, I think it's immune.
Yeah.
I'm worried about everything else, but yeah, we'll see.
Sure, I mean, those actors should watch their back, but, like, sales-wise. It also doesn't matter, right? They're still printing money from GTA 5.
Anyway, it's probably going to be $90 and destroy the games industry as we know it, so...
Look forward to it.
Look forward to it.
I have some other, like, things to think about in this space.
Go ahead.
You have a bunch of stuff about League of Legends here.
Yes. I didn't even think about this until like this morning, but like the hero shooter, anything that has like characters that is a competitive thing, like, yeah, they're making stuff that doesn't go in the game that's like cinematic-y. And League of Legends has been doing this forever.
Yeah, what is Arcane if not one long
Yeah.
cinematic
I mean,
trailer?
Fortiche, the studio that produced Arcane, made a lot of stuff for Riot before they made this. They made the actual TV show, right? They made the Get Jinxed music video, probably one of the earliest like big cinematic things that Riot put out. They did the KDA stuff, right? So like, which was, if you don't know, like a short-lived fake K band, K-pop band. That's what I'm going for. I was like, I think I'm missing a word in there. Like K-pop girl group that they made of like AU versions of some of their characters. And there's a whole bunch of other different animation studios that they're always like the Worlds event, which is like their esports event, always has like a big cinematic or two, like showing either like a bunch of characters, or even there's like animated ones of like the players that will be featured, right? So like they have put a lot into like the spectacle of these characters that isn't necessarily reflected at all in the gameplay. Although their most recent one, which was like a sort of follow-up to Arcane, was also meant to introduce like trying to do a more story-focused sort of season in Noxus. I have not looked into that since they released it to see how that's going. But they even got, like, fans were really mad at them one year at Worlds when they released, like, what they thought was a substandard cinematic. That was just, like, the camera panning through the environment with, like, voice lines in comparison to the stuff that they usually put out. And people were upset, right? Because it didn't feel like the sort of celebration that it's usually supposed to be. They also shared this year, shared some stuff from a company that did like an AI animation for it. So the problem of creating a lot of different stuff is that sometimes you set fans' expectations and then sometimes you don't live up to it and you get yelled at, either justifiably or less justifiably, right?
Well, it makes sense to me. It's a different case in a game like League, right? Because, yeah, on one hand, I think about that stuff and I go, well, like, I guess you're trying to get it in front of a different audience, right? And you're confident enough that people, like, it's a low enough barrier to entry to try it and whatever, right? Like, if you can reach some girls and get some of them to try it, like, it's almost the opposite of the strategy of an indie game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually do want to fool people into this being a real K-pop band. Not talking about the whole scandal around that, right? But like, I do like want people to get invested in that and then go, ooh, who knew it was attached to a game?
Yeah,
I'll try that. Or like, oh, I liked Arcane, I'll try the game. As opposed to a, little indie game where that level of investment is never gonna, it's not gonna translate likely in the same way. But also interesting to think about a game that requires or desires from you a long-term commitment, right? And what those trailers, the purpose of those trailers in that context, as opposed to this game is coming soon and I want you to purchase it once.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff with like League. Like in that article talking about like the lackluster World trailer, it was talking about like they've had trouble like keeping their lore updated and up to date. There are certain characters that like they just have not given anything to for a long time, like fan favorites that are waiting for their like cool cinematic trailer, right, that fans are anticipating. And so they have like the unenviable task of like you have so many characters and theoretically you're trying to make it like into like a coherent world with consistent lore, right? And also you're trying to maintain a game and like add features and add interest to the competitiveness, right?
Yeah, it's a weird split in the fan base, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some overlap between the people who are very serious about the game and the people who are very serious about the cinematics, but not all of it.
I mean, for what it's worth, the big yearly one is always at the esports finals,
Yeah.
right? So there is overlap there, at least in terms of people like at least liking characters a lot, even if they don't necessarily care about lore consistency or whatever.
Certainly. I think, though, that where the actual energy is in cinematic trailers right now is in having a dumb little song.
Real. Yeah.
Like, this would be my advice. My very informed, professional advice to anyone looking to promote your game. I don't think that it's worth getting a custom animation, hiring Blur Studios to do a big cinematic for you, whatever. Like, I don't think that's what's worth it. I think that you need to find a catchy little song and do that.
Yeah, and we don't mean like needle drops, I think.
No,
right?
not like just a...
Not slowed down Mad World again.
Yeah, not Skrillex.
Well, maybe Skrillex.
He would do it, but...
Face your fears, Madelyn.
No, I know. That's why I said...
Is that not a silly little song?
Sorry, it is. And Kingdom Hearts, genuinely, the master of
silly little song, yeah.
But it was interesting to me to think about, okay, like what are trailers that have gotten me hyped, in recent things. And some of them, I mean, whatever. Here it comes. Madelyn talks about Like a Dragon, whatever, right? But it has been interesting to see more games that I'm playing have kind of like a title sequence in the game that also doubles as a really kind of great, fun trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Like the recent Like a Dragon games have all had those where it's like, oh, like this is a fun song. And also, like, frankly, for the Pirate Yakuza one, they should have done just like the pirate dance at the end as a trailer.
Yeah, true.
And it kind of would have ruined it because that coming on for me at like 12:30 in the morning or whatever at random, like jaw on the floor.
Did they play the... I guess I was surprised when I saw it in the game, but did they play the like intro song at any point before the game came out? Where
I'm not sure. I really only watched, like, there may have been other ones. Maybe not, because I really only watched the announcement.
Because I think that would have been good.
Yeah. But they did it for 8. They did it for Gaiden.
Right. Yes, they did release those ahead of time.
And both of those were awesome. And then I'm also thinking of what I thought at the time was a custom cinematic and then was not. The To a T trailers.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, that's fun. Like, they've done a funny little music video for the announcement. And then it was like, no, actually, this is the emotional core of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to see it 8 or 9 times.
I actually really agree with this. I do think that, and not just because I think more games should be musicals.
But not because of that.
Not because of that. But, like, yeah, even in the AAA space, like, the big Game Awards trailer for Rebirth before it came out was them debuting the theme song live. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that was very effective, honestly. I think that can be very effective for your game to be like, we have a theme song. Here you go.
Well, it's a genuine way to penetrate people's brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People like music. And people will engage with music that they like multiple times.
Yeah.
And if you can also tie that music into like, oh, dang, something cool is happening on screen. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are 2 categories of this. One is it's a really great, fun, like, actual pop song. Right?
Yeah.
So the Square Enix, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, whatever, the Like a Dragon, the one for
Mm-hmm.
in particular.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you could do the actual pop song version.
And the Judgment games, too, actually.
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, yeah. But then we have the Bug Snacks, which I think is the
pinnacle.
Like, patient zero
Uh-huh.
of this. The Bug Snack style, which is a silly little song.
Yeah.
That will go very viral.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I say this so genuinely, if you have an opportunity for your smallish game to be featured in some kind of a showcase, that is what you should do.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances should you do a 30-second gameplay trailer. That simply will not work. That is the point at which I will get up and get some water in the Nintendo Direct. Right? Like, it has to be a song.
I agree.
And frankly, you can do that, and this is totally ill-informed, but I think that recording a silly little song is probably significantly cheaper than any other option that you would have.
It's probably still not cheap.
I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm
but
just saying,
I think that it is probably cheaper than animation.
Especially if you have a friend.
Yeah. If you can do it internally, even.
Yeah.
Right? If you're making a silly little song for your game anyway, use it.
Yeah. Like, honestly, Supergiant should be doing that.
Hell yeah. They
sort
don't
of have
to
they
be fair.
already have an aesthetic, and like their music is so good that
they do
don't
usually use their vocal tracks in their trailers. So
I know, but if they recorded like a silly little song trailer for any of these, they
don't usually have silly little songs. They should. You're right.
If they did that, they would crack into a new tier.
Yeah.
They would officially be AAA.
that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. GTA 6 launch trailer should be a silly little song. Can you imagine?
I think GTA 6 should be a musical.
It probably is. That's why it's taking so long.
Good.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is rating the music.
No, wait.
He's licking his lips, Emma.
No. All right. Any last thoughts on cinematic trailers?
I think they're cool. I know that I'm a lowercase g gamer, and I understand that we've announced the game too early cinematic worry.
Yeah.
But I think they're cool. I think that they are more fun. And again, I am a gamer who is not afraid to read. So I hear you. But for me, just like rarely is there gameplay that is so strikingly new or like I must have that. There's too many games now.
Well, I certainly don't mind when games show their cutscenes.
Sure.
I know that is also a complaint that's like separate but related to like cinematic things.
Yeah.
I do think I have less emotional investment in this because I think the bigger titles that typically do the cinematic ones are not actually series that I'm very invested in.
Sure.
So there's that too.
But when it is a series that I'm very invested in, I'm like, yes, please give me a cinematic. I don't know. It's just like once I'm already invested, it's like, I know it. Like, I'm going to get the game. So, like, let's just get hype.
Monkey Ball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am going to get the game for Monkey Ball. And frankly, there is nothing that you will show me in a Monkey Ball trailer that will be different from what I expect.
They might show you Tiny Kiryu in the ball.
That's
like
true.
That one time. So
I'm upset that he's not in the cinematic. To be honest. Sonic made it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Seeing Tiny Kiryu in a ball would not be as good as animated Tiny Kiryu in a ball.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah, so I say bring it on. I say it's probably not a good investment for you, most game companies, but I still say bring it on. I would rather, in my opinion, have more hype and then go and support games journalists by reading about it on their websites than I would watch boring turn-based combat or whatever.
All right. That's the final verdict.
That's the hot take. Cinematic trailers, good, actually. If they have song, even better. So that's that. Listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
What about you, gamer? Good, bad or neutral on cinematics? Do you want more animated ones? Do you want more okay, coming back, more live action ones. Let's do it. Sure. That's so fun. Let's even do like a, Mary Poppins style combined animated live action, please. But are there things you want more in your game trailers? Don't say gameplay. Don't say it.
I want an in-depth look at the menus every single time.
That's true. It should be like your trailer actually has to be 75 seconds of cinematic and then 15 seconds of just like, here's the lead dev clicking buttons in the menu. That's the law now. But if you have thoughts on this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog. But most importantly, if you enjoyed the show, you ought to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode. Next week it's 2 games for sure.
I think our old game is Chibi Robo.
It's definitely Chibi Robo.
And our new game is Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time.
So look forward to that, and then to 6 weeks of gaming, where once again I must cram 6 weeks of gaming probably into the next 2 weeks.
Hype.
Get hype. So that's our show. Thanks for listening. Emma, sign us off.
This week I hope that your life cinematics are accurate and cool.